Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from second group. In here, we will explain the material about research design, experimental research, and correlational research. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ikuidanti as the first speaker. There are my friends Irfan Arfandi as the second speaker, Selvia Asrianika as the third speaker, and Sri Mulyani as the fourth speaker. Okay, let's start with the first point. The first material is about experimental research definition. Experimental research is a scientific approach to research where one or more independent variables are manipulated and applied to one or more dependent variables to measure their effect on the latter. The second material is about the purpose of experimental research design. It is used to make predictions and draw conclusions on a subject matter. Some uses of experimental research design are highlighted below. The changes observed during this period are recorded and evaluated to determine its effectiveness. This process can be carried out using different experimental research methods. And the third material is about the types of experimental research design. There are of three types, namely pre-experimental, quasi-experimental, and true experimental research. Pre-experimental research design. Either a group or various dependent groups are observed for the effect of the application of an independent variable which is presumed to cause change. The pre-experimental research design is further divided into three types. One-shot case study research design. The second, one-group pretest, post-test research design, and static group comparison. One-shot case study research design. In this type of experimental study, only one dependent group or variable is considered. The study is carried out after some treatment which was presumed to cause change, making it a post-test study. And the second one group, pretest, post-test research design. This research design combines both post-test and pre-test study by carrying out a test on a single group before the treatment is administered and after the treatment is administered. Static group comparison. In a static group comparison study, two or more groups are placed under observation, where only one of the groups is subjected to some treatment while the other groups are held static. The second types of research design is quasi-experimental research design. The word quasi means partial, half, or pseudo. Therefore, the quasi-experimental research bearing a resemblance to the true experimental research, but not the same. And the third types of experimental research design is true experimental research design. The true experimental research design relies on the statistical analysis to approve or disprove a hypothesis. The classification of true experimental design include the post-test only control group design, the pre-test post-test control group design, and the last is Solomon 4 group design. And the post-test only control group design, in this design, subjects are randomly selected and assigned to the second groups, control and experimental, and only the experimental group is treated. After close observation, both groups are post-test, and a conclusion is drawn from the differences between the test groups. And the pre-test post-test control group design For this control group design, subjects are randomly assigned to the two groups. Both are presented, but only the experimental group is treated. After close observation, both groups are post-test to measure the degree of change in each group. And the last, Solomon for group design. This is the combination of the pre-test only and the pre-test post-test control groups. In this case, the randomly selected subjects are placed into 4 groups. Okay, the last material from me is data collection methods in experimental research. They are used in different cases depending on the type of research being carried out. The first one is an observational study. This type of study is carried out over a long period. It measures and observes the variables of interest without changing existing conditions. And the second is simulations. This procedure uses a mathematical, physical, or computer model to replicate a real-life process or situation. And the last is survey. A survey is a tool used to gather relevant data about the characteristic of a population and is one of the most common data collection tools. Okay, that was my explanations about experimental research, and the next material will be delivered by Irfan Arfani. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Irfan Arfandi, and now I'm going to deliver the next material, and it's about the example of experimental research. It's about the example of experimental research. So the first example is administering exam after the end of semester. During the semester, students in the class are lectured on particular course, and an exam is administered at the end of the semester. In this case, the subjects are dependent variable, while the lecture are independent variable thread on the subject. The second one is employee skill evaluation. Before employing a job seeker, organizations conduct tests that are used to screen out less qualified candidates from the pool qualified application. This way, organization can determine an employee's skill set at the point of employment. In the course of employment, organizations also carry out employee training to improve employee productivity and generally grow the organization. Further evaluation is carried out at the end of each training to test the impact of the training on employee skills and test for improvement. Here the subject is employee, while the treatment is training conducted. This is a pre-test, post-test control group experimental research example. The third example is evaluation of teaching method. Let us consider an academic institution that wants to evaluate the teaching method of 2 teachers to determine which is best. Imagine a case whereby the students assigned to each teacher is carefully selected, probably due to personal request by parents or